Finance Minister says tax not paid accordingly.
We're not calling taxes.
Internal revenue vital for Bougainville. And Pacific Islands Forum must address climate change.
This is the National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
Hello and welcome. This is Sunday's News. Thank you for joining us. Finance Minister James Marape says Papua New Guinea's revenue collection is compressed against the global influences of decline. This is because of weak revenue collection and taxes not being paid accordingly.
Papua New Guinea must ensure law and implementation on revenue collection is strengthened. With a shrinking global economy, the state must ensure revenue and public expenditure on budget delivery percentage and outcome of development budget is achievable. The Finance Minister was speaking at the Public Expenditure and Financial Accountability and Roadmap launching in Port Moresby recently.
Because I see and as experience that we've gained this year and last year when we're running deficit budgets and when revenue collection compressed against the global influences of decline, we're starting to look inside and suddenly these numbers are staring in the face. Better will collect. We've fallen behind. People are not paying taxes. We're not collecting taxes.
One of the latest key findings is that Papua New Guinea is good in planning, but value of money on budgets passed is not achieved.
The past 10 billion kina budget, we expect 10 billion kina value for money. We don't expect 20 billion kina value for money. So that must be the key achievables in this sort of programs.
Mr. Marape says revenue and expenditure must be improved for a resounding economy, and that is now the national government's working platform. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
There are talks to commence direct flights from Brisbane in Australia to Gurney in Milne Bay Province. This is part of the Tourist Zone Support Initiative plans that will enable tourists from abroad to fly direct into Milne Bay Province with the possibility of providing visa on arrival. Documents to enable this service are being finalized to enable this service to commence. The ceasing of emergency and health services by St. John Ambulance has caught the attention of opposition leader Don Pollier. Mr. Pollier said the government must intervene with funding to allow St. John services to continue. St. John services ceased following the lack of funding support from the National Health Department.
Earlier this week, St. John Ambulance temporarily suspended its emergency and other services in the nation's capital. Chief Commissioner Andrew Kalai told EMTV News the prolonged approval of a Memorandum of Understanding with the National Health Department has forced operations to stop. This has hacked opposition leader Don Pollier, who called on the national government to immediately solve the problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, the question must be asked, the government must answer this question. Why are they not financing St. John Ambulance?
Mr. Pollier said life of people are at risk because St. John's Ambulance has been providing and attending to most emergency cases. St. John submitted an operational budget of 3.4 million kina to the National Health Department. However, received only 900,000 kina. St. John Chief Andrew Kalai says it's more than a funding matter.
We think from St. John perspective, funding will come to us from the government as long as the MOU is approved. At this stage, I can only say that my strong hope is that the fifth draft of the MOU we have submitted will be approved.
2.5 million remains outstanding in the budget submitted by St. John Ambulance. The opposition leader, meanwhile, called on the national government to put out its plan in addressing the economic constraints faced by the country.
The tough times are here. The government needs to put down a tangible, real pragmatic solution to addressing these issues.
EMTV is yet to receive comments from the National Health Department and national government over this matter. Jagla Pava Jr., National EMTV News.
Usinobundi district in Madang province will connect with Simbu province within the next 18 months. Usinobundi MP Anton Yagama says work has begun on a bridge along the Bundi portion. Work is progressing well with building materials already in place. With the new road, commuters can drive from Bundi to Simbu in just 4 hours. Mr. Yagama says the new road will bring economic benefits for both provinces.
All Bundina, all Usunona, all Baramen, there's like an up here. You live lo, there's like a road here. Now in time lo you all him ground now. All him ground. Plan him something. Bucket lo place lo you na sanam na online carry come na buy him na all by gondap. Man pull up lo highlands here. All captured by you by short win.
You're watching National EMTV News. Autonomous Bougainville government to improve internal revenue. That and other stories after these messages. Welcome back to the news. The Autonomous Bougainville government is now working on strategies to improve its revenue collection. President Chief John Momes says Bougainville needs to generate more revenue to run its affairs. Fabian Hakelitz has more.
The autonomous Bougainville government at this time is totally dependent on the national government budgetary allocation. The Bougainville President Chief Dr. John Momes, speaking on an exclusive interview with EMTV, said more revenue need to be generated in the macro and micro level, important for Papua New Guinea's new autonomous government.
We want to engage our people on a broad-based, inclusive economic program so that village people, all of us, will participate in generating our own income.
The ABG has joint venture businesses at the macro level.
We want the people of Bougainville to be involved in the creation of wealth and not just be idle, recipients of goods and services.
On revenue collection, Chief Momes said the ABG is strengthening its policy to ensure state-owned entities and other domestic and international investors operating in the autonomous region pay tax.
Of course, they pay tax to the national government, and the national government should give Bougainville its share of the revenue raised in Bougainville.
The autonomous Bougainville government is now concentrating in raising its own internal revenue by asking credible foreign investors to jointly develop some of the region's resources. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
On a related note, Chief Momes says the reconciliation or bell call ceremony will still proceed as planned. Despite attempts from several Bougainvillians to stop this important event, Chief Momes says their actions is unacceptable as planning and consultation were already conducted.
I don't think we should be procrastinating anymore. We should have the bell call and again bring peace by having people to reconcile with one another and accept the challenge to forge ahead and build a better future, especially with respect to creating an economic base for the new Bougainville.
More dialogue between governments of Pacific countries and environmental bodies are needed to address the effects of climate change in the Pacific region. This is according to opposition leader Don Pollier. He says Pacific countries are the worst affected, adding that Australia and New Zealand can play a part in voicing their concerns at the international level.
Australia and New Zealand are already big players in the Pacific. However, Papua New Guinea can play a leading and vocal role in informing the first world countries on climate change impacts within the Pacific.
It's that Pacific Island countries are the worst affected.
Mr. Polio said carbon credit facilities must be built in each Pacific country as measures to address climate change. His comments come as more coastal villages are experiencing increasing sea levels.
Carbon credit facilities that are supposed to be established in individual Pacific Island nations should be one of those strategies to alleviating or to assisting the Pacific Island countries to addressing global issues, global warming issues.
In areas where there are limited information on current national affairs, most Papua New Guineans lack understanding on climate change. Mr. Polio said such international meetings, such as the 46th Pacific Island Forum that will be held in Port Moresby tomorrow, are venues that should be used to discuss Pacific national concerns.
We need to get Australia and New Zealand to take the lead in addressing this on behalf of the Pacific Island nations. And when all the Pacific Island countries, those leaders who represent the fragile Pacific Island countries, when they push, we need Australia and New Zealand to push it on their behalf as well from this region, because we are the worst affected.
Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Meantime, Mr. Polya has called on all Pacific leaders to discuss the push for West Papua's freedom in the 46th Pacific Islands Forum. Polya said West Papuans have been striving for self-determination for a long time, a struggle that has seen the abuse of human rights.
A part of Papua New Guinea, a part of the Melanesian culture that we all share. And Pacific Island nations, we are Melanesians, we are Micronesians and Polynesians. And we'd like to call other nations to respect the interests and the views of these people. And West Papua it should be one of those priority agendas for PIF. And I call upon the PIF to push it through the United Nations. I call upon the chair of the PIF to meet with the president and the leadership of Indonesia. And I would like to ask Australia not to shy away from this.
You're watching National EMTV News. Trukai Sports is next. We take a look at the development of futsal by an educational institution. That after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Don Bosco Technological Institute in Port Moresby has officially launched the Futsal League competition. The competition will run every Saturday. This follows the successful week-long futsal clinic officiated by FIFA. The BTI League will be supported by the PNG Football Association to promote futsal in Papua New Guinea.
There are over 19 teams in the DBTI League futsal competition, split into 3 divisions.
Involved in the competition. So every Saturday we will have our futsal competition here, and we do hope that everybody can come and watch and enjoy the game.
Registered teams have been competing every weekend, with more teams expected to join the competition.
I was looking around, and definitely you have facilities here to play futsal, and definitely futsal will help your football game, which is soccer. When the people call soccer, definitely will help, because the technical aspect, when you develop players, both sports are very similar.
Giuliano Scamelin, FIFA's representative, believes that PNG Football Association can come up with the right plan and be able to get support from FIFA to develop futsal in the country.
Message for the course as well from Federation is a plan. You need to organize a plan, a short and long period plan. It involves like the next year, the next 5 years, the next 10 years. Federation's job is organize a plan that can FIFA support, OFC can support Federation, but the main thing is here will be organize a plan, because I can see some.
The competition just started, and it is slowly building momentum in the nation's capital and soon to the other centers of the country. Futsal does teach players many skills that can be used in the larger version of football, and it is certainly a wonderful avenue not only for footballers, but for those who also love football. Shane Soroya, National EMTV Sports.
Agma Gurias are the 2015 Intercity Cup champions after defeating TNA Simbu Lions 26-18. Gurias proved their worthwhile victory at the grand final match at the Sir John Guy Stadium yesterday with their superb performance. Following the Intercity Cup Grand Final and the completion of the 4 Confederate Cup challenges, a team will be selected to represent PNG in the upcoming Prime Minister's 13 against Australia later this month. And that's all we have for Trukai Sports tonight. I'll bring you the weather details after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. First of all, in the southern region, Port Moresby, Daru, Alota and Popondetta fine, and mostly fine as well for Kerema. To the Momase region, fine weather expected in Madang, Wewak and Vanimo, and mostly fine as well for Lae and Wau. In the New Guinea Islands region, fine for Lorengau and Buka, fine and windy for Kimbe, and mostly fine for Kavieng, Kokopo and Rabaul. And in the Highlands region, mostly fine for Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, and evening showers expected in Mount Hagen. Taking a look at the forecast for small ships, but first there is a strong wind warning current for all coastal waters of Finschhafen to Vitia Strait, CSE Island to Long Island and all New Guinea Islands region. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait, Daru to Kiwai Island, Kerama to Yule Island, Hood Point and Samarai, eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Samarai Island to Cape Vogel to Finschhafen, seas 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Finschhafen including Vitia Strait, CSE Islands to Long Island, Manus and its western group of islands, New Island to New Britain and Bougainville, seas 2.5 to 3.0 meters. And waters of west of Long Island to Madang, Bogia, Wewak, Aitape, Vanimo, and the southern PNG Indonesian border, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters. And a look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas. In the Coral Sea, seas slight to moderate with southeasterly winds at 10 to 20 knots. Solomon Sea and Bismarck Seas, seas moderate to rough with southeasterly winds at 20 to 34 knots. And the Pacific Ocean, seas moderate to rather rough with southeasterly winds at 15 to 25 knots. And that's where we end today's bulletin, this Sunday, the 6th of September 2015. Stay tuned for Talk Pixa tonight at 8:30 p.m., where we hear from the Secretary General of the Pacific Islands Forum, Dame Meg Taylor, and the incoming PIF Chairman and host, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, on the 46th Pacific Islands Forum Leaders Summit that starts tomorrow. But for now, on behalf of the EMTV News team, have a pleasant working week. Good night.